Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on Communications Engineering major of Aalto University's master program in Computer Communications and Information Sciences. Today we will have two presenters here. So my name is Riku Jäntti. I'm a professor of Communications Engineering and head of the Department of Communications Networking. And then we have also Eeva Halonen, who is the planning officer of the master studies, who can answer your questions related to some technicalities related to studies. First, I will give very brief introduction to Aalto University and then discuss more in detail about the communications engineering subject and the study options inside the major, and a few words about the career of possibilities. So Aalto University is actually as a university rather new. So we were founded 2010 by merging Helsinki University of Technology with Helsinki School of Business and Helsinki School of Arts and Design. Those, of course, are quite old institutions. So our university really focuses heavily on ICT and digitalization, and then global market and business dynamics, material sciences, arts and design. So in this area of ICT in general, we have more than 80 professors, and this is a kind of a really a clearly strong focus area of our university, and we are also quite well ranked internationally in that. So especially now in this telecommunications engineering, we are ranked number 22 in the world, which makes us like ranked number 4 in Europe and number 1 in Finland. So the communications engineering major, well, Aalto is a leading university in this area, as you can see from this ranking. We have really excellent testbed facilities, and we do quite a lot of hands-on research, and also then this is reflected to our teaching. And we have close collaboration with the industry in this field. So we have many of the major vendors like Nokia and Ericsson have their facilities close by, and most of the chip vendors are also present in Finland. In this major, we are looking for students with electrical engineering or computer science or related backgrounds. So we give research-based education. So in our case, we do research on information and communications theory, then communications technology, especially wireless communications and internet technologies, communications ecosystem research, which is like techno-economics. And one sort of key focus area of our research is network protocols and software and virtualization and cloudification. So more and more about this communications engineering is about software, and the role of hardware is more like a commodity. But of course, in the radio area, the hardware still plays a big role. So how we do research is do theoretical research, but a lot of that is then put into the action by building a small scale test beds and then even a large scale. So we have a campus-wide 5G network, for instance. And what kind of the results output, of course, is publications, but then it's also knowledge and experts. So the experts being basically you who graduate from us. And we do quite a lot of running code or prototypes, patents, and the startup community in Aalto is quite vivid. So actually quite a lot of startups have come up also from our department. We also do contributions to standardization activities and so on. And how this then relates to the studies is that these good laboratory facilities are available for the students. We are offering quite a lot of laboratory based on hands-on courses. So, and one of the sort of key facilities is our own campus-wide 5G network. So actually nowadays quite many places start to have 5G test network, but what is unique in ours is that it's completely operated by ourselves. So it's our university is running that, and we have the frequency license and for this in 3.5 giga. And it is a multi-vendor platform, so we have both Nokia and Ericsson equipments, and then multiple core networks, including also core networks that are running completely virtualized, that have been implemented by us. Okay, so then about the studies. A study of the major size is 60 ECTS, and there are a certain set of common courses, and then there is the specializations. I will discuss the specialization options soon. So one can select among the set of specialization what is exactly the one that is of your interest. Then there are elective studies that can be basically any studies offered by the university, and then the master thesis, which is 30 grades. Okay, so about the specializations and the teachers. So one of our specialization is cloud and network services. And then also another one is mobile communications and networking. They are quite similar. So looking at the networking technologies like routing, SDN, and then how those are applied to 5G networks. The key professors are Professor Tarek Taleb, who is working with mobile core networks. Raimo Kantola is looking at more on the security and trust issues, and Jukka Manner, who is working with the protocol stack. Cheng Yang, who is also looking at security aspects, and Jarno Limnel, who is professor of practice looking at the cybersecurity aspects. Then another specialization is wireless communications, which is really focuses then on the 5G radio or radio communications in general. There we have Professor Patrick Östergaard, who is teaching information theory. Professor Olav Tirkkonen, who is teaching communications theory, basically this multi-antenna techniques, code books that are used there, and so forth. Professor Risto Vihman, who is teaching signal processing in wireless, and also really hands-on down to the physical layer issues. Then myself, I'm also teaching in this wireless communications track, mainly focusing on layer 1, layer 2 aspects. Then Professor Jyri Hämäläinen, who is also the Dean of the School of Electrical Engineering, who is looking at mobile communication networks. So a little bit sort of higher layer view on things. So this previously we only had two specializations, which was called Internet Technologies, which was about this mobile communications systems and networks and cloud, and this wireless communications. But now we are increasing our offering, so we will have new specializations which are more closely then related to some of the research interests of our professors. So wearable computing and ambient intelligence. Now there's Professor Xia Yu, who is working with wearable computing. So basically all kind of devices that one can carry with himself. And then Professor Stefan Sick, who is doing ambient intelligence. So basically now once we have those all kind of sensors, what we have in a phone or carrying with ourselves, then we need to infer things from those. So to understand, for instance, what is the health of the people or various different kind of applications. So really applying machine learning type of tools to the sensor data on the edge. Then we have a specialization on communications ecosystem, where we have Professor Heikki Hämmäinen and Juuso Töyli, and that is focusing on techno-economical aspects of communication systems, how the teleoperators can make business out of it, and also how the users adapt new services. And then the last specialization option is human-centric system, where we have Professor Antti Oulasvirta, who is focusing on human-computer interaction and user interface design. And this in the communications engineering aspects, the key topic there is the quality of experience. So how the user experiences the use of the network services, but also then user interface design. And the special feature of user interface design in this program is that Antti's research is doing computational user interface design. So really doing optimized user interfaces by looking at the theories from cognition science and understanding by measurements how humans actually use the interfaces and doing optimizations. So that is quite unique in Aalto. Okay, so once you go participate this kind of program, coming to Nordic countries like Finland is quite good for communications engineering, since you have a strong presence of this of the major companies, Nokia and Ericsson, and many of the chip makers here, which means that there is quite a lot of employment opportunities. So quite many of our students, once they come here, they first make an internship during the summer in some company, and then continue their second year by doing their master thesis there, and then get employed in the end into those companies. It is also those who are more interested about research career. We are also offering a doctoral track. So once you have entered the program and you are interested about doctoral studies, then you can apply to this doctoral track, where we would then hire the student to work in a research group part of the time, and maybe also do their master thesis in the research group. And then after the master's thesis, one can then apply to our doctoral program, and either in Aalto or then in some other university. Here's an example of one of our alumni. She graduated last year. So when she came, she had very good grades, so he becomes a honor student. So honor student is something that is also kind of a special opportunity to work 1 day per week in our department. Then after the first year, she applied a summer internship at Nokia Bell Labs, and then continued working at Nokia and did her master thesis there. And now she is 5G hard real-time software engineering at Nokia. So she studied this wireless communications track. And as you can see from her title, software has a very big role in all of the things that we do in communications. Although in this area of wireless communications, like in her work, she really needs to understand the signal processing related aspects and being able to implement some of those, but then also needs to understand software and how long it takes actually to compute things and so forth. Okay, so why come to Finland? Finland is a safe country. It's the least corrupted, or at least one of the least corrupted countries in the world. It's also the air quality is the best in the world. Almost all Finns speak English, so it's easy to live here even if you don't know the language. And in general, the Finnish culture is, or especially the startup culture in this Aalto campus is very vivid. So there's opportunities also if you are more interested to set up your own companies. And as I mentioned, especially in this ICT area, we have a very strong hub here in Helsinki region, so there is plenty of opportunities of finding jobs here. Then about student life, so students have a union which organizes all kind of activities. There's a housing through the student union. Students are entitled to healthcare, so there's a healthcare system available for you, and we have also quite good sports facilities available on the campus. Okay, now maybe Eva can say something about admission procedures.
Yeah, hi all, I'm Eva Halonen, planning officer of this communications engineering major. Yeah, so we have in Aalto University over 80 study options in 3 fields, which in the technology, communications engineering is one of the options. And the application period is now ongoing and will end on 3rd of January. And then the applications are submitted through the studyinfo.fi portal. And if you have any questions about the admissions, you can contact our admission services. Okay, and here are the admission requirements of this study option. So the previous degree, the bachelor's degree should be in communications engineering, computer science, or electrical engineering. And it is mentioned here that other fields are considered as well. And here we have listed the recommended background knowledge. And what else? Yeah, and there is also a tuition fee for the students coming from outside EU area. And then we have also scholarships available.
Okay, so now it's time for your questions. So please send your questions through the platform and we try to answer. I guess there already was a couple of questions that were sent beforehand. One was that what is the level of mathematics that is required? Well, that of course somehow depends on the specialization that you are interested. So if you are more into networking, then there's less maybe so hard mathematics. But if you want to really do wireless communications, then mathematics is of course the key tool there. But nevertheless, you need to have reasonably good mathematical skills in order to pass the program. And also, it's also worth noting that it's really good also to have some sort of programming skills, or if you don't have, then you need to learn them very quickly, because as I mentioned, in all this education, we are encouraging people to do implementations with software. Another question was about the grades. So is there some minimum grade requirement? Well, there is no, but in practice, the lower the grades, the lower is the probability of getting admitted. But if you have low grades and would still come to study, it's not necessarily an obstacle, but then you need to show somehow that the motivation. And the best way would be to really take some university level courses and show that you have the aptitude and you get good grades from those. Most Finnish universities offer some open university courses that anybody can register and take, and many other universities as well. So that is one way of showing motivation if you have low grades. Okay, is there any other questions? Okay, there was one question. If you have a bachelor in mathematics, can you apply? Yes, you can apply with mathematics, and you can take that into account. So one thing is that then I guess in most university, when you study maths, you also at least study some basics of programming, so that is also required. Then there is a question, how can I choose my master thesis? So the thesis topics. So you should select the master thesis topic during the second year of studies, and there is actually quite a lot of freedom in the process. So the students can suggest a topic to the supervisor. And for instance, if you are interested in working in a company, for instance, they have taken some internship and then wants to continue master thesis there, which actually is quite common for our students. Then once the company has formulated, you have agreed tentatively some topic, then you would contact one of the professors of the program and see that if that topic is suitable for master thesis. In most cases, they are. If not, then that topic needs to be slightly revised so that it fits the requirements for thesis work. There's a question of, can I join the lab in the first year? Yes, we actually, among those admitted students, we offer honors positions to the best students, and so those get admitted and can work in the lab, in some research group 1 day a year, 1 day per week. But then again, also some of the research groups have openings for research assistant positions that you can apply and in that way get access to the laboratory and be part of the research groups. And that is a good option if you are interested in research career. So if you don't have any questions right now, then you can always contact me or Eva to ask some questions related to the program. So we are happy to answer also your questions by email. Okay, so if there are no more questions, we can close the session, and thank you for your attention.